Hello everyone, Larry Satchwell here. As a result of the water damage we've had to our house, we needed a new window. And the carpenter working on it presented me with the old windows yesterday. And I thought it would be a perfect opportunity to make a cold frame. I went to the lumberyard yesterday to get some 1x and I couldn't believe the prices. So as I was standing there, I remembered that I had some cypress left over from the restoration of the table, picnic table. And I've never seen a piece of wood I didn't like. Now, granted, this is not the best looking stuff. It's rotted in places and rotted all the way through in some places. I can see through this board. But I'm hoping I have enough here that I can cobble together a cold frame. The first thing I did was, these were all rounded because they were on the table, is to cut them square. And I'm going to try to glue them up here. And I can see some rot right here. So I've got to try to find a couple of pieces that are 32 inches long. And that's my next project, is to try to figure out how to get some lumber out of this and then glue it together and put it together tomorrow, because my seeds have all been shipped and I'm ready for some lettuce. Well, yeah. Actually, it wasn't that hard to find some good pieces. I'm not saying these are the best. They're certainly not brand new pieces of material, but I've got it. So I'm just going to glue these up because I wanted to make one panel. Nothing fancy here. I just think it'll be easier to work with. I've got the front, this will be the back. And it actually worked out. I had set this window on the bench here and kind of drew out what I wanted, and this worked out perfect. I could, if I wanted to speed up this process, use Craig screws, of course, but and wood this rotten, I'm not sure Craig screws are the best option. And I'm not in a big hurry. The seeds aren't here yet. And so I've still got to, I'll sprout those inside here and then put them in this cold frame. I've got from Pine Tree Seeds a variety called winter lettuce, and it's a winter lettuce mix. So we're about out of our current lettuce supply. The lettuce that I planted last fall hasn't even been covered with anything. It's just been out there and it has been doing marvelously. And we've been having a we've been having a salad about once a week, at least. And it's time to start a new lettuce crop. It's that simple. Well, the panels are glued up. I think they're going to be okay. It's a trick I learned from watching This Old House. They made a cold frame, and what they did there, instead of trying to do the math here, this is the back of my panel, this is the front of my panel, so I've spread them apart here so the lip is going to rest right on there. I've got these lined up with the edge of my bench, and that's about where I want it. So then all I have to do is measure between these two boards at 24.5 inches. That will fit my frame. Well, with that last cut, I'm ready for some assembly. So I've got my panels stood up here, and I'm going to temporarily screw them together. They've got quite a bit of an S-curve in them because they're warped in different directions. So I'm just going to try to line them up as best as possible, because these are temporary screws. I say these are temporary screws because I'm very fortunate to have these hinges that pull apart. While I was working at Shiloh Elementary School, we had this really cool hockey game that was on the floor, and it was a 6-sided game, and it had these hinges on here so you could take it apart for storage. And I'm going to use these hinges. It was recalled because of lead paint, made in China. And I'm going to use these to make this a take apart. And I've got 6 of them. So I've got 1 for each corner and 2 for the lid. But now I've got this corner here. I can take this brace off and set the other side up. Well, I'm liking this so far, but before I go any further, I'm going to put the window on top of here to make sure I made the right measurements. I've worked with myself before. Well, will you look at that? This is a go. So this is pretty solid wood I've used here. I've cut here, and I'm going to use this on the inside here to reinforce both of these. And I'll use 1.25 inch screws for this. Well, I ran out of the scrap wood, so I've got lots of pieces of cypress around like this left over from various projects. So now all I'm going to do is put this hinge on here, 1 in each corner, call it finished. I'm about 100% sure you're not going to be able to find a pin hinge like this, but the 3-inch or standard door pin hinges, they'll work fine. I am going to leave this screwed together until I get it in its final spot, because if I didn't, it would go all over the place. Well, this is the last screw. I'm not going to put a screw in here because it would be protruding on the inside, and I don't want anything I can scrape my arms on. So let's see if it works. Oh yeah. So this works great. I'm going to make a couple of props here that I can prop it up with, because it's supposed to be in the 60s here next week. Getting warm really soon. We'll have some really cold nights though yet in February and March. Next time you see it, it'll be in the garden. Well, as you can see, it's pretty frosty in there. Put it facing this direction, because right now it's about 9:30 and the sun's coming up over here, and it will track along the top of these trees and go down right over here. So I'm hoping that this will catch the most sunlight. So we'll close it up and see what it gets to this afternoon. It's supposed to be in the 50s today. It's 1 o'clock. There's a lot of condensation here. Temperature reads 80 degrees. Outside temperature is 52. So I'd say it's heating up. I'm going to have to keep it vented most of the time here.